Welcome to Spook Month, where we cover a bunch of horrifying books of different types and qualities. The name is Adam, and I've been looking forward for this one.
I'm Tech Priest, and I am happy that this book is not going to be one that will make Adam have an aneurysm midway through it.
I'm Imsit, and I'm very happy to introduce 5th edition Codex Space Wolves for Warhammer 40,000 5th edition.
Wait, what? Oh.
Didn't you get the memo? This is, of course,
Oh.
not going to make you stroke out.
Yeah,
Oh.
because
You have no idea about 40K.
this is the one that really introduced a whole lot of the wolf stuff.
Oh. I thought we were talking about something else. Okay, I guess. Wait,
I
no.
mean,
Wait a minute.
why would we talk about anything but our glorious spiritual liege?
And of course, Fenris. As we all know, there's the proper saying, there are no wolves on Fenris. And actually, I believe in this. No, I think it's actually the 6th edition Codex that has the Thunderwolf Cavalry. Does have Canis Wolfborn, who's riding on a giant wolf, a thunder wolf to be exact.
Wait a minute.
Don't forget the Wolf Guard.
We get the Wolf Guard.
I don't think this is the book we were going to cover. I remember a different type of wolf.
Wolf Scouts, Lone Wolves.
No. I remember now. This wasn't what we were going to cover. We were supposed to cover something. Well, this is pretty good, but we were supposed to cover something a lot better. We're supposed to cover the Get of Fenris. Come on, let's get that proper one open.
Well, as also says, let's get this over with. Get it?
There we go. So I actually have 2 copies of this because both of my copies are a bit shit, but I wanted to start with the first edition Tribe book just to show off a really fun comic idea. Sergeant Rage and his killing commandos in the fall of the Werewolves, which, if you're wondering, this is a lovely, lovely shitpost on Sergeant Fury and his howling commandos, which was a very popular Marvel war title back in the day.
It is.
I may be get you
amazing.
Nazi pig, but I'm all American. Just starts blasting. Also, the art is by Ron Spencer, who does a lot of good work. I can smell them, boys. We're real close now. You know it, Sarge. It's time to show these Nazis what it means to be Get of Fenris. And I just love the random choices on marking the helmets. I mean, at least they got the squad size correct. I see him, the scared, and they start garrooing out and just shredding things apart. It's great. Blood Creek, so this is where you've been hiding. Amerikaner Schwein, you've betrayed the Get of Fenris. If you would fight for the impure ones, then you are no better than they are. Better fighting with the Jews than trying to kill off all races. How do you call yourself Get when you fight on the side of Adolf and his worm patrols? I look at that depiction of good old mustache man. He looks like a fucking corpse, and that's fitting. And it just goes full into the action. I fucking love this comic. It's just great.
I mean, it is American werewolves versus Nazi werewolves. How can you not love this?
I'll see you burn in hell. I love this. I love this comic. It's great. But that's not the version we're looking at. Instead, we're going to look at the revised edition, which has a really good opening story too. This opening story is, I'm going to very quickly sum it because it's pretty long. It is the weakness of Yuli Brightjaws, who essentially, what happens is it really gets you some good insight on how the Get think. And it's also, if you like Norse-style sagas, it very much is a Norse-style saga, where what he does is he goes through essentially the spirit realm to find and try to destroy his weakness. And along the way, he is beset by agents of the worm. First, a bunch of blight beasts that drain everything of life. Then a set of fallen Hrafen or raven spirits. And then finally, 2 corrupted Get, who became Black Spiral dancers. They danced the Black Spiral, which is a nod to some of their historical stuff. Until finally, he finds what the source of his weakness was. he brought it himself. His doubt in himself made the rest of the tribe weak. And his weakness was in his heart. It wasn't that he was weak, it's that he let himself think he was. Also says, so this is what became of the swords of Heimdall before they threw in their lot with the Groypers. The swords were all slaughtered to him, man. Basically, if you're wondering, the Get worked with Mossad to basically get rid of them all. Mossad and MI6, as well as the FBI. Essentially, they ran a big, multi-decade campaign to stamp him out. But yeah, the opening story is very saga-like, and I very much enjoy it. And it just gives you some great insight into how the Get think. And actually, because he got to meet Great Fenris basically forced him to rip his own heart out and show that's where your weakness is, buddy, and that's why he got a new name.
I had a heart all along.
Well, it again, his weakness was in his mind, and because it was in his mind, he made the rest of the tribe weak because he basically said that their judgment of him was wrong. They all saw him as strong, but he disagreed with them, which caused dissension in their ranks. And he, out of selfishness, essentially took a month off that could have been spent fighting the worm. The Get are both very simple to understand, but also more complicated than you think. And this is why Karim Muammar is an idiot.
What? They're people from the north. They're very strong, tough. They don't care for weakness. That means they're Nazis. I've read Umberto Eco's 14 Points of Fascism.
You know, the funniest thing is
that totally do not have anything to do with economic policy at all.
You know, there's a lot of things you can leverage at the
tenets.
Get. There's a lot of things you can leverage at the Get. They're actually more noted to be sexist than they are racist. That's actually more of a problem they actually have than the race aspect. Didn't they need to uphold the masquerade or the veil? Somewhat. But anyway, let's get into actually how the Get origin kind of works, how the story and the telling of the truths work. So, their creation myth is that there is what's called the first pack that was made by Gaia, and Fenrir was the strongest of them. He was strong, he was noble, and he knew when to speak when needed. And he was the original leader of the pack before the fucking Silverfangs took their control over it. But unlike most of the other tribes, he was very choosy. He was very choosy with who he decided to slam ass with. To the point where he thought he would die alone. And on top of that, they already start introducing some really fun twists on Norse sagas and mythologies, because they start connecting the Jotun, which are the historical giants and destroyers of Norse myth, with the Fomori. And they even go into details that they might be early versions of the Fomori, the ones that were naturally created just by the process of the worm.
I mean, like,
which I like. It's a neat concept.
The Fianna book also goes into tying Irish mythology into the werewolf cosmos.
That's where the Fomori come from, the term.
Right. Which is, again, as I said, as you pointed out, fitting because of that. There's a few other attempts to tie like real world myth and stuff into werewolf. This is one of the better ways to do it.
I like this book a lot because here's the other thing. I would consider this maybe not the best tribal book. There's probably others that can fight for the contention, but it's a good one. And it really highlights why the Children of Gaia and the Black Furies ones were so bad. Because they just were. They were not handled well.
It was very stereotypical. Well, this one I'd say inverts that idea.
It has the stereotype, but it also subverts it a little bit. Like they don't try to destroy what they basically take what was there. Like they take an old style Norse church with the steep roofs, and they just kind of update it a bit, make it a little fancier without destroying what makes it. And I just really like this book.
I do like here when they're talking about like the War of Rage.
Oh yeah, but in short, what happened was Fenrir finally gets the girl, who is this big, crazy, super strong lady. He legitimately fights an ice giant, which is where Ymir comes from. and kills him. Basically, he fucks up and destroys a powerful ice spirit to get her hand, and that's how the get were got. But they talk about not just the War of Rage, but the Impergium. So here's something that they can actually brag about that the other tribes can't. While they eventually agreed with the Impergium, they thought it was stupid. They genuinely thought it was a stupid idea. But when they were outvoted, they said, okay, we'll fucking do it. And they admit, yeah, we did awful things too. What about it? All of us did awful things. Their stance, like you said, though, Imp, on the War of Rage is different. Because they
As
were
they
one
say,
of the first ones to advocate for it.
oh,
Well, because the entire thing about them is fighting the worm, and the Pharaoh did things in ways they didn't understand or like. Remember, the Get honor strength, they honor, and they honor the gift of gab. Speak, the ability to recall legends, to know things. And compare that to some of them, like the Ratkin, who are more than willing to do some very heinous, underhanded shit to get what they want, right? They're very
yeah.
much not a. They like to talk, but they are much more fans of action. And what did the Pharaoh do?
I mean, as I say here, we can only bow our heads in shame for our ancestors' worst excesses and hope the surviving Pharaoh do the same. It is not just to say we were the only ones to blame, neither are we blameless. It weakened us in our battle against the worm, which is why he is growing so strong today, because they would not follow and we chose the wrong way to lead.
And that's the other thing. They are of the mind that they know how to fight the worm the best. And you could maybe argue this is why they decided to make them go rogue in Werewolf 5th, because of that mindset. But as we'll get through the book, you'll see why Karim Muammar's understanding of this is terrible. By the way, he didn't just screw over the Get because of his weird take on anti-fascism. He fucked over all the tribes. He fucked them all over because some of the other ones that got the most basically punishment were the pure tribes. Except for the Croatan, but that's because they're dead. Because he threw out lore that was essentially collected because in Revised, guess what they decided to do? They went to the First Nations personally and asked tribal elders and shit about this stuff. And it was all
You
thrown
know,
out.
cultural consultants,
No,
diversity.
actual cultural consultants. Not, oh, I have
Yeah, no,
1/32 Cherokee ancestry,
I
so I
yeah, no,
totally
I
can
literally
tell
meant like
you.
this is the example of cultural consultant,
It's a great
like an
example of it.
actual.
And they did the same with this because they based the Get's concepts around a very twisted form of the Norse mythology, and they play around a lot with it. For example, they even play with some of the weirder ideas, like there is technically a Hyperborea, sort of. And this would be the Get's original. Well, it's also more like Valhalla, because of Heimhalla, the original and greatest of the cairns, and basically where the Get were. It's somewhere in the north, similar to Hyperborea. But ultimately, what happens, and this is one of my favorite twists, is so these are the Norse werewolves, even though they're not technically only Norse, right?
Yes.
What's interesting is how they decided to handle the Norse pantheon. Because to the humans, Odin was the chief of the gods. Wotan was the chief of the gods, the knower of all, because he sacrificed one eye to forever see in the future. Right?
Hmm.
This is a permutation and corruption of what he actually was. What he actually was a particularly powerful supernatural entity, often compared to a god. But one of the things I would actually argue is he's actually a powerful archmage.
How would you put that?
Mainly because he does a lot of sorcery. In particular, he plays around with the concept of death, life, because he can transmutate people quite often. And just in general, he used a lot of magical powers, including the ability to manipulate the terrain. And on top of that, when he comes back, he becomes an agent of the worm, which makes sense if he went through the Nefandis ritual, or if his avatar descended. So I would argue that Odin, at least in the setting, is a powerful Nefandi that occasionally just reincarnates. Also remembers Odin being a vampire, in particular a gangrel. I could see that maybe, but some of the stuff that he was claimed to be able to do doesn't make a lot of sense. You know what I mean? I think mage fits him a little bit better.
What about demon?
Mage does fit him pretty well.
Him being a gangrel could also make sense because if he has multiple dots in some of the other disciplines, you can do some of the same thing. But honestly, it's easier to get away with it if you have high arete and just a lot of spheres. And honestly, him coming back, I think, fits more because he was definitively killed at least twice. Like, full-on destroyed. Which makes more sense if he's a mage because their avatars can reincarnate. Also, Loki is likely a Fomorian. There's
Makes
technically
sense.
2 of them. And also, this is another thing. This is why the Fenrir will not accept anyone who has any DNA from a Fomorian or from the Jotun. They're very restrictive on that because of their
How
emphasis on purity and because they're avatars of the worm to a degree.
how do they know?
They can smell it.
Ah,
Although this is also just straight up out of legends. They also tend to
I
call Odin glad of war.
I like this as well is that they made a Freki and Giri Garu.
They were Freki and Giri, or Garu, who fell to his tricks, and they essentially joined him. And this is why they are also often compared to Black Spiral dancers. Because they also come back as Black Spiral dancers. And actually, that's another really fun thing about the first chapter is as Uli is going through his spirit quest, he runs into the same, essentially, the pillars that kind of represent the Cairn's guardian area. You know how Cairns have guardians, and he runs into 2 wolves that very much are styled like Freke and Geri. Up to and including that, for a minute, he realizes that they actually have the pelt of a Fenrir, which is the pure silver and deep iron, until you see that it's black like night, and he knew what they were. Like I said, I really recommend if you really like their opening story arcs, I would actually argue that this one's really good. Although I will say it's also because I am a sucker for saga style writing. Makes sense though. I'm a Lord of the Rings fan, and that's very much based on the Eddas.
So, would Heimhalla also be like a Horizon realm if we're going with the mage?
Possibly. Possibly. It is the greatest of their cairns and basically one of the closest to purified spirit world. It was
And
also
then
the refuge of not just the Get, but their wolfkin.
And then a mage came in and fucked it all up.
Or a very powerful gangrel. Because let's be fair, he has also been stated to be a very powerful gangrel, and that also works, just not as well as mage, in my opinion.
No, he was a mummy.
You know, you're joking, but remember, one of the oldest mummies we've found was Otzi.
Oh.
So him being a
Oh.
mummy could work, although mummies are very different in the old world of darkness. More sexual.
They're extremely different.
Also,
in
hey there,
old world.
Ebony. I totally agree. The Get is, in my opinion, my favorite tribe, mainly just because they can be played straight, but they're much better if you play them with a bit of subversion. I find them very fun. Because it's not just... This is something that the book will kind of go into. Strength of arms is very important. It's one of the most important things of all because, well, the Get are the warriors. Fenrir was the greatest of the warriors of the original and first pack, right? But he didn't only value that. If he did, then he would have only really loved his eldest son, who was who inherited most of his warrior strength. But he doesn't. He venerated and cherished his other 2 sons just as much. By the way, they are sometimes called Sons of Fenrir. That is just an overall title. It's similar to the Sons of Aether. The difference is, unlike the Sons, which I think was mostly an all-male club of mages,
Yeah.
the Get
Richard.
were okay with women. It just indicated all Get, not just the men.
Maybe it's something like a translation.
It
Like, you know,
is
where you have
because it's Germanic. Their
yeah.
original tongue is the forefathers of the Proto-Germanics. Which, by the
Speaking of
way,
that,
you're going to say that.
I was
Sorry.
gonna they were then talk about the expansion to the nomadic Germanic peoples.
Not just that, but the Germanics had a lot of adoption rituals. You could be adopted into the tribe. They often did it in
This
the
is
form
how.
of bondsmen.
This is also how tribal confederations, to a degree, worked. Is effectively you were adopting yourself into a larger cultural group or a larger group that existed already. It's interesting, but it's not like completely irrelevant to this.
It is a
Besides,
little bit relevant in that it explains that you can play the Get as Norse. You can go, Ingvar, get the axe. It's time to go hunting. You could. But there's a reason why the Get are also at their strongest in both England and the United States. And you can also find them from as far south as Barcelona to as far east as Romania and Russia.
You know, where the Germanic peoples spread.
Essentially, they also spread in general with wolf populations because
I mean, you could also, if you're going with that, there's the North Africans because you have the Vandals that
and
moved
they
over there.
did.
Oh
They actually
yeah.
no, they do. They did actually work with the Silent Striders for well over 200 years.
Oh.
They did. They never built a full-on cairn because the lands of Africa were too hostile to them. But they did actually, for a time, live in North Africa. I'm not kidding. We'll get into that later, but that's a thing. Also, again, Odin returns at one point, and he is also
Somehow
immortal.
somehow Odin returned.
Which is, again, why he might be a vampire, because that would explain the lifelessness.
Secrets of the worm.
And he is so powerful that he basically challenged the entire tribe and almost won. However, because the Get are the strongest there is, or at least they try to be, they endured it and took his ass down. They lost most of their elders doing it because they essentially fusion danced into a copy of great Fenrir himself, but they did it.
They also bring up Brunhilde, Wings of Fury, leading the
And
Valkyries.
Beowulf.
Yes,
Oh,
Beowulf was actually a Get. And they actually, this is the thing, the Aesir are kind of seen in a way that they were somewhat malevolent, and they actually originally hated the Germanics worshipping them as gods. But then they just kind of worked with it as long as it didn't oppose them, and it also worked in helping them keep the veil. But yeah, Beowulf was an example, and his killing of Grendel is actually a bit of a story of how he was there at this battle. Like, the Beowulf saga is essentially a filtered version of this second war against Wotan. It is also a possible origin story for the Black Furies. Or at the very least,
well,
an
for the
infusion of new
Valkyries are.
blood to them. Because the Black Furies did get an infusion of blood from the Get, mainly because, like I've mentioned, the tribe is pretty damn sexist.
Which one?
The Get and the Black Furies tend to be
Yeah.
quite sexist. Although among the Get, it's mostly among the Hamids. The Lupus, they don't see it that way. We'll get into that a little bit more. But
Then the Romans invade.
and I love this because it's just one long polemic shitting on the Silver Fangs and what they call the Warders of Men, which eventually become the Glasswalkers.
They go absolutely nuts about it. It's
They
pretty
shit
funny.
on it. It's really great.
First, they went after the Langobards, and they fooled a king of tribe of kinfolk in Fenrir called Cherhusi to aid them. Odegar, called Herman Farrunner, went hither and thither to confuse and bewilder the Romans.
Also,
Came
Herman
upon the
Farrunner, you would know him under a different name, Adderminus, and we've actually talked about him in the Teutoburg setting.
these were the ones who killed the. Oh, so in both settings, werewolves just killed the legions.
Yes.
We're involved.
The only
Yes.
difference is Araminus in Chronicles is wolf blooded. He was
I think
he
he's
was a
either
Get.
wolf-blooded or related to a wolf-blooded.
He was kinfolk to he was kinfolk to an Uratha, but in this, no, he was a Get. He was a Get. And basically what happened was they complained that I fell for the silly Silverfang scheme once again. But then they also turn it around on their ass, which is fucking hilarious.
Which is that, no, we ended up ruling the Western Empire.
They essentially broke it on its knee. Also, the Huns were possibly worm-tainted. They also brag about beating the shit out of the Romans at Adrianople. It just shows a great shitpost.
Alaric. Oh, great Fenrir kinfolk Alaric Ward took and led his clan to plunder and finally capture Terra, creating the Ill Clan, which everybody then joined, and it was all a good time.
I originally was going to also add Clan Wolf, but I thought that the Space Wolf shitpost was the only one that was needed for this one.
Yeah.
I might introduce Clan Wolf to like another one of these when we do another one.
Honestly, we could do the old Clan Wolf book. There's some fun stuff in the old BattleTech Source books.
But no, here it is, Africa. A rogue Roman general, Bonifacius, made a pact with the Fenrir warlord Baderic and his brothers, Guntheric and Geiseric, to create a new domain on the coast of Africa. And this is actually one of the few times that they would work together quite well with the Silent Striders. But as mentioned, our tribe never managed to keep a foothold in Africa. It was too warm, too dry, and too wrong. If we were meant to be there, we would have stayed there in the beginning. Still, some Fenrir made deals with the Silent Striders, and there were Fenrir on the coast for more than 100 years. They then talk about the conquest of Britain by the Saxons, and it's just kind of a nice little historical reference if you don't know much about this sort of stuff.
They include that other setting from the Dark Ages, or the Dark Eras.
Yes, they do.
Oh, what was that one? It was your favorite one, wasn't it, Adam?
I think, which one?
What's the one that you say is completely worthless in the Dark Eras setting?
Oh, yeah, the Viking one.
About that one battle?
Yeah, Brian Boru dies. Who cares?
Was he a Fenrir?
No, because that's Uratha.
Nope.
Uratha, not Guru. Forsaken is not Apocalypse.
I meant in this setting.
All right. They do have a mention of one of the Dark Era's vampire books, Wolves of the Sea, for if you want to run a Viking campaign.
Oh.
They also talk about the fall of the White Howlers.
Right, which of course they would be involved with that. They shared
the
an
White
island with
Howlers
them.
was from Britain.
Yeah.
The only tragedy was that Gaia let those weaklings prosper for as long as she did.
By the way, that's great because that's a prelude to what the fuck they do to the Wendigo.
Is it
if others want to really funny?
Well, no. If others want to mourn the loss of a noble tribe, they should spend more time lamenting the loss of the Croatoan, who died honorably. Croton.
With the strength to die well and honorably, and for all the right reasons. Crying for the White Howlers while they're still murdering and raping their way across Gaia's face is not only just pointless, it's a damned insult to every fallen ancestor who is twice the guard the Howlers ever were.
By the way,
holy shit!
It's great.
You know what? That is kind of correct. Why are you mourning the White Howlers?
Why are you booing me? I'm right.
Well, no, they fell to the worm. They didn't die fighting. They were literally like, we can conquer the Black Spiral, and now I'm a demon.
They even reference this in, if you're wondering, in Uli Brightjaw's saga, because the two Black Spiral dancers legitimately try to say there is a third way, because you cannot defeat your own fears by going back, and this path only leads to destruction. That was an aphorism, a reference to the White Howlers falling due to fear.
Yeah, and they look at the Viking era and they're like, this is a great time because our kinfolk were going everywhere. So we had an excuse to tag along.
And this is all. Do they mention Stamford Bridge?
They do later, I think. Because they talk about like the Anglo-Saxons in Normandy. They talk.
Okay, well, hold on. This is something I can get from It feels a little 90s White Wolf, even though this was 2002. It was not altogether wise to stand up the human ways. The English, as they properly were now, grew weak and soft and embraced the new religion, that of the legions of white Christ and their crosses.
That was actually an old term that the Norse sometimes referred to involving
Oh.
Jesus.
The white, the pure,
Because
there's
white was
a lot
the
of
color of purity.
Oh, I thought
They
it was
sometimes
skin
called him. They
color.
also sometimes called him the nailed god.
Okay,
yes.
that's awesome.
That is a hardcore fucking name, and yes, they did call him that quite a bit.
And they didn't really like him. The Get don't like him because in their own minds, it's a pacifist religion, and a lot of Get don't understand that pacifism can be quite strong.
Turn the other
Oh,
cheek?
they do
No,
understand
why don't
pacifism
you
can be strong.
rip the other guy's hand before he touches your cheek?
They
But here's the
do,
other thing.
but they're like,
They're also duplicitous weasels too sometimes,
right,
and that's what they hate
like,
more.
right. They're fine with pacifism. Having a strong enough conviction for pacifism is one thing. It's being a little weasel bitch about it that they don't like.
And guess what those crusades and missionary missions prove? They're two-faced little weasels about their peacefulness.
Exactly.
Because, again, strength is one thing, but that doesn't necessarily mean strength of arms. It doesn't mean you throw down and fight. After all, if that's the case, then this tribe would have no philodoxes. They wouldn't really have
Right.
philodoxes. They might not even have Thayer. Well, Thayer just, yes, because you have to fight the fucking ghosts to get them
They
to
also
listen to you.
claim that they founded Dublin.
Which is a nod to the Vikings, because Dublin was a Viking settlement. It was
Brian
founded
Boru is
by
literally
North
more.
German raiders.
By the way, they shit on Brian Boru, so you gotta
yes!
love him. Despite what you
Suffer,
might have
Brian!
heard,
Suffer!
Brian Boru is nothing little more than an empire-building thug. His knights set fire to our cairn and cast us out. We were too few. Norse kingdom of Dublin fell that day. The pride of the Get fell also. Drunken Irish knights cast their treasures aside. The bones of the Alfar princess were cracked and broken and driven to the muddy earth. Basically, they're like the Fianna, like our little bitch boys about this. Is kind of like a
Yeah, the Get
their
kind of
take on it.
molded when the Fianna kicked their asses out.
Yes, yes,
They
they mention
kinda molded.
Bjarni Herolfsson. They do mention him. Okay,
Yes, they
I'm
do.
happy.
We became kings. The kingdom of Norway, one of the chieftains was Chief Harald.
Yep.
Kin to Hakon Silverclaw rakes at the worm.
So, yeah, that's the
Yep.
thing. The original kings of Norway were wolf-blooded.
That's what they go with, which is, I mean,
I don't...
fair enough.
This
I
is
don't
early...
hate that.
In early medieval set, like in the Dark Age settings, I don't hate when they actually have temporal power like this too much, because it kind of makes
I don't hate it
sense, you
because it's
know?
also kind of irrelevant. It's like, oh yeah, he's wolf blooded, but it's like, so
It's
yeah,
similar to how
he's also a
it's similar to how the Zamici had control over a lot of the Sejm in Poland because of their
Well, actually,
great estates. You
there's
know,
one thing
like
you
who
can do
cares?
if they're wolf blooded. You could play as a child of them or a bastard.
I
Oh
mean,
yeah,
it
you could
does
totally
lead to
do
some
like a
interesting
Hellboy
stuff with
take
that.
where you're
Yeah.
a get that actually can claim descent from the kings of Norway, but you basically say, yeah, I could be king, but who gives a shit? I'm so far down the line, and I would be distracted running humans rather than kicking the shit out of the worm's face. Why would I
I
want to do
mean,
that?
yeah, that would be like one of the key bits of it.
Compared to Hellboy actually being the true king of England.
I mean, yeah, like you've got options here. I think it could work really well. It's just that you have to understand, and the reason why I like it more is that it's not too bad. You know, it doesn't go too far.
It's not like, okay, so if we're gonna do a little bit more shitting on Karim Muammar, by his own logic, we haven't gotten to the Get being racist yet, but by his own logic, the Brujah should also have been made unplayable because they were not only responsible for the Soviet Union, but they were one of the key vampire groups that helped found the Fourth Reich under Vampire Himmler.
Wait, no. Creating the Soviet
That's
Union, that was a
actually
good
in the
thing.
Guide to the Anarchs, by the way. That's a Guide to the Anarchs thing where they talk about Poland. Yeah, the Fourth Reich is in Krakow, canonically. I am not fucking with you. Also, one of the most famous Polish vampires is famous because she ate a bitch.
Damn.
But
Let's
yeah,
see. Other.
we're gonna go there.
Wait. The Frankish. Did they say Charlemagne is related to?
They might have. Let's see. If Clovis was the descendant of Mervek, he dishonored his ancestor, for he fell to white Christ and Christianized the Franks. Frankish King Charlemagne established his authority in Italy. Let's see. Do they actually say that he is?
No, they say
No,
Otto.
no, they just
Otto the
supported
Great
him.
was. The Duchy of Normandy. And
By the
Cornwall.
way,
Obviously,
Otto
the
the Great.
Normans.
This is actually them getting into a pissing match with the Silverfangs, because the Silverfangs also claim him.
Yep.
Oh, and then the Greenland.
Oh yeah,
This
Eric
is,
the
this is
Red.
fun.
this
As I
actually
said,
leads to one of the
mentioned
funniest
Bajordi
camps.
who's the most famous historical weird figure, who is arguably the first European to ever set foot on the New World, because he's mentioned as going back to talk to Leif Erikson.
Yep, Gardy Haraldson. Also, keep in mind, this leads to one of the more interesting. Does this camp actually exist? And they are known as what are they called? It was something Sweat. Basically, the idea is there is possibly a small tribe of Get that still live in parts of North America from the Viking settlement because they refuse to go back. And the Get basically really hope this is true because they miss the Croatan and really fucking
They
hate
do.
the Wendigo.
I don't blame them for that. I would hate the
Wendigo.
Wendigo too,
Yeah.
because they look
Yeah,
at Wendigo
they-
as a bunch of fucking
We
just
investigated
like
across another tribe.
degenerates.
A hostile tribe of filthy savages called the Wendigo.
Well, this was back when they weren't
The
bitches.
Croton were gentle
Yeah,
and reckless, where the Croton
Were the
were
Croton
wise.
wise. There were no good cousins with ours. We understood that those dishonorable bastards had destroyed our domain and killed their kinfolk unprovoked. We never forgave them for that and fought them for a while, but they were too sly and dishonorable, so the conflict led to nowhere.
Yeah, they hate the Wendigo, and I don't blame them. The Wendigo can be pretty fucking.
The other
annoying.
reason they hate them is that they're racist.
Well, here's
No,
the thing: they were both,
Get. They hate the Wendigo because the Wendigo are racist.
and they're allowed to get away with it.
Yeah.
No, seriously, because the big thing about
It's
the
right
Wendigo
here.
is they mauled about it. They mauled about you being white. They literally hate you.
If you are not native, you can fuck off, according to the Wendigo. Which is, to the Get, like, bro, you are a piece of shit in every way.
I love this bit on the pure ones. Some of them are even leaders among Sami and Finn folk of the north. Though they were much weaker than we were, they often came to offer us aid in our skirmishes with those strange leeches that slave whole villages of Sami, but disappear as soon as we were near them. The Uktena are strange. They all speak like ragabash and riddles. Don't trust them far out of your reach, because you never know what they plan, but treat them well and feed them, and you have a valuable ally. Yes, they prefer the Uktena over the Wendigo.
They like the Uktena. They've met them before. They've got some history there. The Croatan, they love them. They're like, these were the best. These guys were great. They were just like us. They were amazing. They were strong. And the Wendigo are pieces of fucking shit. And we hate them. And
they're also
racist.
very racist. As you know, it is a lie that we Fenris see people differently based on skin color. Any warrior is expected if he or she is worthy of the three great disciplines of honor: the bard's tongue, and, most importantly, strength. The Wendigo, on the other hand, hate all white and black people, acknowledging only those pure ones that they claim to be. Ha!
By the way, also, you say that the Get sound like the sore losers. We'll get to the part where they absolutely beat the living shit out of the Wendigo so goddamn badly that they basically took over their role as managing North America.
They did, because that's the thing about the Get. If the Get think that you're looking weak and not good enough, they will come over and beat the shit out of you and take over. Because their whole philosophy basically is like,
we
someone
can do
has
better,
to fight.
but as long as you're doing a good job, we'll leave you to it and just fight the worm. Oh, you're being a weak bitch and fucked up. Okay, we're gonna bully you to either get better.
Actual threat to the. You're an actual threat
we'll either
to
bully
Gaia
you to get better,
if you're
or
too
we'll
weak.
actually fucking rip your leadership from your hands and manage it for you because you're too fucking stupid to do it right.
Right.
That's how they work.
But let's see,
Then they
Britain
get
again,
to the Dark Ages.
and the Battle of Hastings,
They also don't like Harold Hardrada, by the way.
because
No,
he had
they
fallen to white Christ.
Yeah, this is back when they hated Christianity a lot more. They eventually tolerated it because they found good examples, but it took them a few centuries.
I'd like
Right.
it. Did they just get the money changers section? It's like, yeah, getting against corrupt people.
I mean, they would probably be okay. They actually do. Okay, so here's the thing about the Get. They loathe trickery, but they actually like it if it works in getting their mission done.
Right.
Oh.
Basically, but there's trickery and then there's trickery. There's trickery for the sake of trickery, and then there's trickery for the sake of the mission.
They like trickery, but they don't like tricknology.
No, they don't like tricks.
Yes.
They don't like tricks, but if it helps in their war, then yes, they support it and actually will be fine with it. This is also why they still have Ragabashes, for example.
Oh, so they're
Because they're
corny.
critical. More like orcs. More like orcs in the sense that they prefer brutality, but as long as you're cunning. But if cunning helps you get brutality done, it works.
Ah.
Basically, brutality first, cunning second, as long as cunning's in serving of brutality. Kind of.
Let's see, then the
Also,
blinding...
yes, they did lose initially to the Wendigo, but only barely. And that was back when they only had a couple dozen of
And when they come back, they'll talk about this. They have a score, because they didn't forget this.
Not only did they not forget this, here's the thing. They were so weak that just simple, small amounts of colonists from Spain brought the worm wholeheartedly to the entire continent. Yeah, you protected it. Cool. How the fuck did you let the worm entrench so quickly?
They basically go like, the Uktena, they actually do something. You know, they bind bane. They bind spirits. They keep things away. The Croatan destroy their tribe to end one of the greatest threats of the worm ever. Flat out.
Admirable.
Completely. That's admirable, and that should be looked at as an example for the entire
Honor
Guru
their
nation.
dead. Remember them.
Right. And the Wendigo, all they do is moan and bitch and kill white people. They're just like, yeah, buddy, get the fuck out of here. You're just useless.
Your stewardship managed to fall apart in what, 20 years maybe? 20?
So they're basically the average white nationalist online.
Don't worry, by the way. The Get will fuck up in their own due time. They will.
They do, but
and they own up to it. That's the other thing. They own up to it. They don't deny it.
Like, they go, all right, yeah, we had a civil war in the fucking World Wars.
We had a couple of civil wars because there's another civil war that happens before this one.
Right.
But continuing on with the Middle Ages, I think they find Wotan again.
Yes, they do. They fight him twice. In fact, actually, one of their takes on Apocalypse is that Wotan reincarnates or appears one last time, and in the process,
Fenris will be freed, and then that's it. Here we go. It's the end times.
How many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man?
By the way, he comes back the second time, and this is why I think he's a Nefandus, because in their own words, the first time they slain him, he may have been worm-tainted, but he was no servant of it. But something happened when he came back, and he became fully into the Destructor's thrall. And that's why I think he might have descended.
And there are some that are worm-tainted, aren't they? Or that fall.
By the way, do you want to know the best part about the Swords of Heimdall? We'll get to them in a second.
Yeah.
I love this. I love this little detail.
What, the Blood Lake?
No, not the Blood Lake.
The Blood Lake is a conspiracy theory that the Get were slaughtered to a man by the Silver Fangs.
The Middle Ages?
Middle Ages is literally what we just talked about. The Holy Roman Empire, they talk about it. It was great. Oh. We liked it. It was fun.
Because it was this disunified garbage, and because it was disunified garbage, we were able to protect the forest and just kind of go about as mercenaries, which meant that if you wanted to do a really fun Dark Age Chronicle, if you wanted to play a Get, you could play a Landsknecht. A Landsknecht Get.
Yep.
Like, just imagine this dude covered in drip. Like, you have a Get Galliard covered in fucking drip, just drinking, partying, having fun. Because that's the other thing. The Fianna are the party hard guys, but the Get also strongly believe that you're fighting to protect lives. And you're fighting to protect your way of life, which means you appreciate every day you're fucking alive.
Wait, hold on.
Like, the Fianna are pretty hard.
Wasn't there like a a berserk-like guts character in the Middle Ages, or during
Yes,
the
there
like
was.
30 Years' War? Yeah, fucking hell. You want your example of Fenris? Guts.
There's actually a camp. There's actually a camp among the Get that works really well for
I
this.
mean, he literally has wolf armor.
Well, it's because if you're wondering, the Guts equivalent is because it's a nod to. Basically, Tyr was a Get who fell to Wotan basically controlling him. And in recompense, he essentially focuses on purging all corruption.
Right.
Basically, he's on a one guru murder spree to try to get rid of people that essentially could not redeem themselves, and also it's a way to punish himself.
But right, so they go and talk about the Back to America. 500 years. We knew about it. The worm came along that time. That kind of sucked. And then the natives, the pure ones, hold us all responsible and call us weird brings. I spit at this. It is all Wendigo propaganda. Those rotten, filthy savages blame us, while the only reason was that they had been growing so weak they could not defend themselves. The Uktena, however, bound many great banes and held those that would not die there for generations. The Croatan praised their memory, gave their lives to stop Eater of Souls, but the Wendigo are little bitches.
And they initially
just
tried to find their lost colony with no luck.
when basically when the settlers of New World decide to rebel, we join it because there's another divergence.
Which has happened.
And
This has happened because the thing about the Get is that mentality of I can do it better makes them somewhat fractious at times. It almost happened during the Middle
somewhat
Ages.
fractious. Like, no, they are very fractious.
Yes, they
It's
are.
all about, like, can you actually talk the talk? Yeah, sure, whatever. Can you actually back up what the fuck you're saying? And if they feel that you're not going to be able to do that, they're just going to walk out on you.
Walk out or throw down to try to take your place, depending on how they think.
Right. Suffer not the weak.
But then they decided to get involved in the Civil War, the American
They
one.
did.
And I guess,
They
as I
did.
say, a group of Confederate Get who had become too colored in their views thanks to fighting the Wendigo and listening to General Lee and his crap. They established a new camp called the Swords of Heimdall.
Because
So, by the way,
here's the thing. Because the Wendigo would occasionally just straight up do assassinations on them. They basically played dirty against the Get because they got their shit pushed in.
because the
never
Get
forgot
are
that.
actually the Get do not forget the fact that they arrive, they come here, they're friendly with 2/3 of the pure. One of them doesn't like him and just attacks him out of nowhere. It's like, come the fuck on, guys. We weren't being assholes.
Why are you dipshits? Why are you dipshits pulling a Farah? That's what they're thinking. Why are you dipshits? Do we have to kill you like we tried to do the rest of the fucking Farah?
Yeah, how many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man?
And because of that, a lot of Get really fucking hate the Wendigo. And because the Wendigo advocate for this crappy, weird racial hierarchy shit, guess what they kind of pick in response?
It's really
racial
funny.
theories that don't exist at the time.
But here's the thing: the swords only found any appeal among the Hamids.
Right.
Lupus,
the Lupine
the
are like, why
Lupus
the
were
fuck
like,
are
what
you
the fuck
talking
is
about
this
this
shit going on?
This is the stupidest fucking
Yeah.
shit I've ever heard about.
Listen, my wolf friend. You have to understand, we have those superior genetics. We're
By the way,
biologically
If
superior,
I recall
and
correctly, the
therefore
swords
we
actually
need to
refused to accept any Lupus, so...
yeah,
because we ain't
West,
gonna muddle our blood with any of those wolfies.
so
Fucking
the thing about the
furries.
West is this is Wild West Werewolf. The big thing that they talk about is that they are the only group that they say is like, yeah, the elders had to be sacrificed to stop the storm eater, all that. Yeah, ours is the only one that just went happily to it, and
The other
the
ones
rest of
tried
you
all
are
they could to avoid it.
Y'all are little bitches. Get fucked.
Y'all are bitches. Also, they don't like the Stargazers too much.
They're not super happy with them. They're kind of iffy on them because they're like, why are you fucking just wandering around being mysterious and shit? Oh, the stars, there's a fight here. Just stay. Just actually fucking fight.
And then the Great War happens.
And this is one where the Get, all sides of this fractious set of Get, work together in killing the worm because the industrialized method of slaughter made it very easy for the worm to infest and rot and break free because it basically destroyed a lot of things.
I mean, considering rot and decay, I wouldn't think that. I'd actually think it'd be an interesting idea of like a trench line just disappears and it just falls into the worm.
Well, I mean, to give you an idea, one of the things I remember thinking about when in this segment was envision you're part of, let's say you're part of a British Get unit that basically is loosely attached to the trench line. You're there just to make sure that when the mustard gas hits, you don't have to deal with a bunch of poison-spitting Formori that were once your squad mates.
Ah,
Right.
Because that
I
happens
do
on more
love
than one occasion.
the section they have on the Second World War basically opens up with
Well, before then,
these
the other thing
dudes-
about the First World War is that they, because this is White Wolf, they saw it as pointless. This was pointless political bullshit, and this is where the American branch of the Get really fuck up, because they fully participated in the Americanized propaganda.
Right.
we
Which
could say out of
culminates
Europe
in this.
war.
The Second World War, though, the first bit they go about is like, first off, these guys were fucking crazy. They were completely wrong about everything. They're Wotanists. They're awful, and they do mention the vril magic of Atlantis, which
They also
Slow
mention
clap.
Heinrich Himmler.
Although they also say Adolf Hitler was no Formori, no leech. He was a mere human. Which actually that'd be funny if he literally was. It's like, yeah,
they're
no,
also like, you guys used our fucking shit for this, like your justification for this shit. Fuck off and die.
Not only that, but they participated. They actually worked. This is the other thing. They worked either knowingly or unknowingly with Black Spiral Dancers and Nefandi.
yeah,
Oh, yeah,
this
they did.
project,
well, they say here Nazi scientists and German sorcerers took Jewish
which were
camp prisoners
Nefandi and
willing
technocrats.
German volunteers and changed them. So wait, hold on. They were making broodmates for the Ubermensch by using Jews. Doesn't that?
That were Aryan enough. The Nazis had like
Oh, yeah,
zero like actual fucking shit.
You're right.
If you
you're
could
right.
bullshit
I'm
an
thinking
excuse in racial theory, you could get away with it.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's
It's
why
one of
why
the-
Arabs were placed higher than they would have been otherwise.
Yeah, it's
where the
one of those
Japanese
things
were
about the
honorary.
Nazis.
Yes. Which was actually a pivot on
The
China,
Aryan-
because the original excuse was actually for China. Because I remember this. The Nazis actually tried to argue China may not be Aryan, but their culture is as ancient and as glorious of them, so they are equals to us, if not a part of us. And then they immediately switched it to the Japanese.
Yeah,
Because
as I said,
which is why
a
you can see in modern day why you have the Groypers, which worship the gay Mexican kid, and why they tend to be brown. Racial theory is bunkum.
So I do like though the last few paragraphs. It just March of 1945, British bombs broke down the defenses. The Get of Fenris did the rest. Our treasonous brothers fought for the Nazis till the end, oblivious to the fact the worm was using them. The Nazi Fenrir were made to pay for their treason. The Second World War began in evil and hatred, and it is an honor to hunt down evil. The entire tribe came together to fight the Nazis and the Black Spirals. The war revealed that the Spirals, who had come back during the First World War, had used the 2 decades to infiltrate Europe, and the hives were located and exterminated all across the continent.
Which can lead
and by the way,
a really fun story where you're essentially playing. Okay, hear me out. You're part of the equivalent of SAS, and you're part of a special branch that basically deals with things like this.
Oh, by the way, if any of this ever happens to get back upon ears not belonging to Get of Fenris, I will personally flay the skin off the back of the rat responsible and trash him into a bloody pulp from which he will not recover in a flash. This is our tribe's burden, our shame.
Basically, they never want to see this happen again, and he will beat the shit out of people who try to accuse the Get that they are still like this, or ever were like this.
Oh, so he's going to be hunting down Karim Muammar.
Probably.
But when I say it is their shame, it is correct, because they met up with a private council of European Garu, including the elders of the Fianna, the Bonars, the Silverfangs, and the Shadow Lords.
And they were basically treated like shit, because here's the thing. The Wendigo are racist little idiots, but you know what they can at least claim they didn't do during this segment? Work with the
Genocide?
avatars of destruction. They don't. Oh no, the genocide. They're fine with that. Remember, the Imperium
Oh.
did a lot of genociding.
Oh, you're right. Yeah. Yeah, working with the worm.
That was the big thing. It's not that they sided with the wrong side. It's that, well, first off, they tied themselves too close to the Hobbits, to humanity. That is stupid, but it's the worm aspect that really got them. And that's the thing that they're most ashamed by.
But then we have 1946, British Fenrir Arun Gordon Kent stood before Moot and said, "The honor of our tribe has been blackened by a few. You name us Nazi, you name us as eaters of babes and murderers of innocents. You name us among those who would murder whole races. No more. I swear that I shall reclaim the glory of my tribe. Give me your blessing, brothers, and I will hunt those traitors of my tribe to the ends of the earth and beyond."
Which he proceeds to fucking do. He dedicates most of his life on a not quite a one-man mission, but basically him and his pack of original 6. By the end of it, only 2 of them were left standing, but every fucking sword of Heimdall was found and slaughtered.
15 years. So if you want to play as, and this is where like you get connections to the Mossad, if you want to play Nazi hunters and actually do the brutal shit that Mossad did to Nazis, and they did brutal shit.
Well, yeah, they worked with them because what would happen is Mossad would help them in intelligence, and in return, the Get, at least in their human forms, would assist in capturing actual Nazis that weren't Get, because many of them still at least were tangentially related to some of the Übermensch project. And not only that, but like quite a few people were involved. Also, Gustav Kriegs was the last of the swords of Heimdall that were found, and he managed to bloody them again because Guru that hated the Get, and these are where the morons like Karim Muammar kind of got this from. He released a little snippet of his little fucking biography. All true sons of Fenris must strive to ensure that the mortals are of the purest breeding stock. All of those lesser races must be discarded and killed to ensure that our true breed, our true lineage of Fenris may be maintained.
You know, you guys spread across the entirety of Europe.
Oh yeah, the Get were
Yeah,
one of the most successful of the tribes for a reason.
They are arguably the most successful tribe. They're everywhere.
So, what pure race?
And that's the thing. That's why the Get as a whole rejected the sword's bullshit.
Because it doesn't make sense for their philosophy.
Not only does it not make sense, by this logic, purity. What among the Homids? None of you are remotely related to None of you are remotely related to Sigyn's original stock anymore. The purity of flesh. Yeah. That's not. No, it's purity of purpose. It's purity of will, man. That's the entire point. It's purity and the strength to continue to go. That's where the purity comes from. The purity of will. You don't focus on petty politics like the Silver Fangs.
They literally go into
the Shadow Lords.
the Nietzschean Übermensch ideas, which is, yeah.
And they call Nietzsche crazy, but they also loathe that his ideas were ruined.
Right, because they're like, he's got a point.
But then, funny enough, what the Get do is they hunt down pedophiles.
Yes, they do. They fight they are major contributors to the destruction of the 7th generation cult, which was a major threat in the meta plot.
And that gives me a great idea of, you have a bunch of young Garu under the cover of one of those like pedophile hunter groups. And it's like, okay, now take the cameras off. Turn the cameras off.
When does this culminate in them into them kicking down the door to Andy Worski's apartment and threatening him because they ruined a sting to get members of the 7th generation?
Well, no, because it turns out PPP actually is Wolfkin.
Right. The main thing though is that they go into the fact that they have everyone. They had a big convocation in 2001.
I like here the homecoming.
Where they basically say like, all right, the entire tribe is getting back together. We are having a big move,
as they like to call it.
Yes,
because they're the word for the Get used the word ting for moot, at least among themselves.
Yeah,
which is a nod to the thing, which was the old Germanic assembly.
It happens in Sweden, yeah, but they most of the tribe manages to attend to this, which is actually pretty impressive when you consider how widespread and how many the Get really are. Their basics are like that. There's no basically we are the Get of Fenris, and it doesn't matter where you're from. Effectively, is what this comes from. No matter what land you come from, you are still Fenris's children.
Yep. Which is actually why one of the first character concepts I came up with was a Get that basically was left behind in Africa after the colony in Germany in Namibia was eaten by South Africa.
What'd you say? A Namibian boxer?
A Namibian MMA fighter who basically targets targets warlords that are affiliated with Pentex.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Basically, the type of dude who would bust up an illegal child manufacturing, or like basically bust up the diamond mines that use children as laborers.
I would like to think also an illegal child manufacturing. Like they are just making children to be used in the mines.
That would be a very interesting Pentex project where they basically make Fomori child slaves. That's pretty dark. I like it. Also, they do have a final fight with Remnant because there were some believers still during this time, not many, but there were a couple of sons of Heimdall that escaped. Well, they weren't the original swords.
They weren't. They were talking about the Thule Gescheistaft is the Thule Society.
Though I have this interesting idea of there are like Nazi skinheads among the Get, and they actually have shaved heads in Garou form.
There were, and they often were
they get killed,
kicked out.
They literally just kill them.
So literally, what you're telling me is that this is actually the most anti-fascist group in Werewolf,
bar none. To give you an idea, a reminder that the original stereotype for the Brujah in first edition included skinheads, and they made up one of the bulwarks of the Fourth Reich.
The other bit about the Get is that the other reason why they might be intended, like some people go with this, is that they have a mention here, page 49, where their right is incredibly tricky. Basically put, you are going to get the shit harassed and beaten out of you.
Yes.
Because it's to prove that you have enough mental strength to actually continue on. This includes racial and sexual harassment. This includes like being basically forced to the edge of frenzying.
Correct.
Because they want to know that you're not going to break once this shit happens. And the second that you've proven yourself, it stops. It's done.
By the way, the other factor, because they mentioned the sexual harassment in the side pin, this is why I would argue that the big problem the Get had was never racism. Yes, there were the sons of Heimdall, but sexism was worse. Because the Get traditionally borrowed a lot from very masculine cultures. Right. At least among their Hamids.
They were told that they could not fight, and so by the time of the first change, they believed they could not fight, and thus had nothing to offer.
It's not that they believed; it's more that they internalized that element.
Yeah.
And that is why a lot of Black Furies were originally female Get members, probably.
Well, they mention it. They've lost several to the Black Furies because of this treatment that they've done. Well, yeah. It's because they want to make sure that you're going to hang when it gets tough. Fighting ability is important. Is not actually that important. Most Cubs have no clue how to fight. We don't expect it from them. However, you need resolve, commitment, and rage, and the ability to sacrifice everything. That's the other bit about it. They
don't
talk
fight
a bit
because they love to. They fight because they want to protect what they have in life.
Right. They also go with the hominid, where they basically blame the entire thing about like the racist element on the hominids. And they basically go like, yeah, that's their problem, and they're fucking stupid.
Yep. Because that is a thing. A lot of the worst aspects came from the homid element. But the other thing is, even the lupus-born variants of Get think it's stupid to go full Red Talon, which we'll get into later. They like the Red Talons, but they also think they're fucking stupid and that they deserve to die out.
The most interesting thing is how they see Metis, which is that their entire philosophy on Metis is like, wow, dude, kind of sucks to be you. And that's about it. they're
They
not
punish harshly.
discriminated.
They punish the parents harshly, completely.
Right,
But the
because you've
kids,
broken the
no.
litany. You've fucked up. The menace itself, though, is blameless and is given every opportunity to prove themselves.
The only thing they'll rib them on is the inability to perform the first part of the litany, which is to have kids, because they can't. That's the only thing they usually
and
rib
that's
them
no
on.
fault of theirs. That's
But
no fault of their own.
then I'd have an idea. Metis gets around that by saying, "What if I adopt?"
By the way, this is actually one of the things I never really understood on this kind of mindset, because that is there is a biological niche for those who cannot reproduce, and that is usually to serve as mentors or to those who don't have parents, for example.
That actually,
Right.
a Metis, what would it be, a
And
Theurge?
their
Like a
kin
Theurge
Theurge are
elder?
the spirit speakers. Philodox tend to be the ones that resolve court issues.
Like,
crime
yeah, like a
issues.
Metis Philodox.
They're also the other bit
Or
that's really interesting
alternatively,
about it is
imagine this.
they're
Like, imagine a really grizzled, like, really strong, almost like completely blind warrior, because, you know, this Metis was born blind. A Metis Arun
born
who
blind, yeah.
basically just fucking teaches them how to throw down.
It's the fucking kung fu master from every fucking like 80s the blind master.
No. Here's the ultimate shit post. Okay, hear me out. Make him actually like the old kung fu master old man, because he was born in the Tsingtao quarter.
Oh god.
He was
But
born into the
kinfolk stuff
Tsingtao
is
quarter.
where it gets interesting. So they the big thing about the Get is that the Get have this sort of attitude towards their kinfolk that is, we are not tolerant. We are very protective of them, and they're very valuable. If you fail to protect them, we will just kill you. Like
and this is why they shame the shit out of Freke and Geke for giving up, because them falling and basically, if you're wondering, they fell because they were angry that they had to protect the Cairn. They had to protect Haimhala.
That's the next generation, you motherfuckers.
And that's why they're really harsh on people who shirk their duty.
Basically, there's no honor to be had in bullying a human or wolf that is weak compared to you. You are a warrior. You're expected to act accordingly. If you do not, you deserve everything that's about to fucking happen.
And this was actually a major factor in why they hated the swords, because they had a habit of doing this.
Because the swords are literally saying we should just toss out like a third of our kinfolk at the very least. Which to the Get is like the equivalent of going like, let's fucking stab ourselves like 50 times in the guts.
And then there's also the Wendigo suck because of their racism, and you're trying to recreate their own garbage opinion.
But they're not the pure ones. We are.
Yeah. The camps
sounds like some Wendigo shit simple. To me. Punches your face.
You got the Valkyries, the warrior woman, of course.
In what kind of fucking armor is that?
Don't ask questions.
So the Valkyries of Freya. So this is from the point of, if you're wondering, this is from the point of view of a Lupus Arun. So this Lupus kind of doesn't understand the point of the Valkyries. The Valkyries as a camp exist mainly to help counter and force the tribe to stop treating its womenfolk like shit. That's their main purpose. It's to basically force the change in culture among the Hamids, especially. The main point of view, because one of the things I like about this book...
The Lupus is like, no, these
pointless.
people are useless. They're pointless. Why the fuck do they need to exist?
But then the woman chimes in and says, yeah, no, fuck you. You're wrong, and here's why. And that's a thing I like, and that's what the Black Furies, I think, miss in their revised book. It helps.
You know, the Hand of Tyr. Is that to help with that? Like you have to force like, I don't know, like one of those 90s like Freaky Friday-esque ones. It's like you gotta live in the woman's world for a day.
Well, no, the Hand of Tyr is the big one that basically...
This is one of the oldest of the camps, and it originally started with essentially the equivalent of Guts. Tyr, essentially when he fell, never felt himself strong enough or pure enough to fulfill the mission, so he went on a kind of a Batman Punisher vengeance quest to basically...
The whole point of the Hand is justice. This is the group that basically sees the idea that
I'm the knight.
That humanity needs to be corrected.
They're the werewolf version of Lanctia ex Sanctum.
Oh,
more like
fuck.
this is the
with a bit
group
of
of
Punisher.
no, this is the werewolf Punisher. This is not werewolf Lancia at Sanctum. They don't think that this is a divine thing to be a monster. They're going like, we need to make sure that
We
the
need to
beast's
scare humans
corruption
straight.
doesn't spread. So to do so, we need to excise the tumor within human society, which is a lot like the Shadow Lords and Black Furies to a degree.
And this is actually something they point out, is that they have much more in
However,
common
the
to do with
problem
them.
is, the problem is that they are not directly dealing with the worm, and that's a flaw.
The
They're
main guy
going
sees
after
it. The
the
Arun
victim
says
of the
they are
worm.
treating the symptoms, not the disease.
Right. However, the symptoms can still kill you. And there is a point to these guys,
And he
which is
doesn't
that they
hate
are
them as
going after.
much.
Right. He's like, they are kind of they're flawed. Respectable, but flawed. Mjolnir's thunder is very old. These are well,
They've lost all
they are
worldly ties and kill worm, behead
They're
worm,
basically murder
roundhouse kick
psychopaths.
worm.
kick worm into the, this is the group that basically goes like, the
Oh,
war is everything.
They're Doom Guy.
Rip and
Yes.
tear until it's done, and everyone agrees these guys are fucking scary and they are crazy and will cause
They're
many
scary,
casualties.
they're crazy, they're going to cause casualties. They
Break the
don't
veil.
care about collateral damage.
I like what Sophie says. I met one of these people once, and that encounter remains the most disturbing of my entire life. Never met somebody so cold, so ruthless, and so utterly devoid of humanity. He was a sociopath, a being with no regard for the lives of anyone beyond himself and the Get. So I didn't want to destroy the worm, but the Fenrir of Mjolnir's thunder have forgotten to cast off the very things for which they fight. They are as doomed as the freakish legions that make up the bulk of the worm's army.
By the way, they also mentioned this is one of the oldest of the camps, and it's because the camp's motto is to remind them the war is against the worm. They've lost their ways, though, by this point, just because this is the camp you go to if you're basically like, I just want to kill everyone.
We're gonna kill everything camp, which is fair enough.
Also, Squirrel Killer, the Get will probably have beers with a random dude before giving them a hard time, but Guru, they will punch you in the face screaming, hit me back. Strength matters among warriors. Yes and no. I would envision it would work better more like a combination of a braggart contest, a bragging contest / flighting. And then it turns into fisticuffs. Because the Get do respect wordplay as much as they respect strength.
The Fangs of Garm are the next. They're hippies, basically. They're the hippie faction. They're
the
slow
ones
to anger,
that try to politic and basically rehabilitate the Get's image.
They're smart, and they basically make a point that like diplomacy is important, and
they are
do
useful.
Diplomacy.
This is a camp that is useful, but they focus too much on politics.
Right. The glorious fist of Wotan.
Our battles of Wotan are a Fenris' greatest enemy. They rescue themselves cleverly ironic.
These are basically those who spent too long with the Red Talons, and this is actually where they start sneak dissing the Red Talons.
Right. They basically go like, this is the group that says we should exterminate all humans.
They are basically the you could actually see these guys forming because of the Swords of Heimdall.
Wolf Nazis.
Yeah, that's the next one.
Paw up at a actually parallel angle.
Yeah, the Swords of Heimdall are basically that in the reverse. And
everyone's words,
they
are an abomination.
Actually, no.
Yeah.
As a shitpost, they just, you're like, yeah, you got to be in lupus form for this, but I like these guys. They're very fun. They got a lot going on, very organized. And they go there, and they're werewolves, or they're lupus, and they literally have a Nazi armband on one of their limbs. Like, we're at a Nazi rally.
I'm envisioning.
No, we're at a wokeness rally.
No, I'm actually envisioning the Sonnenrad actually instead of the armband.
The comment from the lupus Hide of Iron is amazing though. These bastards even attacked the lupus among us, myself included. They were beings without honor and preferred to bushwhack opponents using superior numbers instead of facing them one-on-one, as any honorable get who has anything resembling a sense of self-worth would do. They were easily as worthless as their human counterparts, and I was thoroughly delighted to help wipe them out of existence. They were weak and spineless beings, and their loss can only help us.
I love it.
Good God.
You gotta love the
not
points of
mincing
view that
words.
they use. They're great.
Yes.
I love these guys. And this is actually my favorite of the camps. These are basically an ST discretion camp. Ymir Sweat. These are actually a camp that formed from settlers from Vinland that stayed around. They
So
probably don't
basically
exist,
go, like,
similar to
they
Loki's
might
smile.
not exist, but I love them because it's like, all right, the reason why they're staying hidden is because they're the Wendigo are so cringe.
No. It's more fucked up. I'm envisioning they stay there, and they basically said, we don't ever want to remotely... They're terrified the Wendigo will try to take them and force them into their camp instead. So they just say nothing. Humanity Delinda est howls and brain dead. Yeah, that's the Wotan's fist.
That's the Red Talons.
And also Loki smiles, which is another possible camp that exists, but probably doesn't. Basically, it's the Shadow Lords to the Get.
Yeah. The litany. The first one they go with is, first off, don't fuck other guru. Don't fuck other werewolves. Metas, don't harass or torment them. They're committed to the cause. They have to be.
By the way, most of them all also say, yeah, if you're doing this to have gay werewolf sex, that's also double bad, because not only are you doing this, but you're breaking
the last
this.
one.
No. Let me fucking finish.
Right.
Not only are you doing this, which is breaking the first litany, but you're also not reproducing. Like, you can't reproduce by anal. Sorry, man.
And I want you to say, this is coming from the lupus.
Right. Which is like, why is the lupus considering this?
Did the lupus have gay incidental thoughts as a pup?
I don't know. Gay. I am not gay. I did not want to take the knot.
Hans does make a point, though, that, like, this is the kind of talk that does make other tribes look at us like we're fucking insane.
Because his point of view with your kin. Is love is important, because that's the thing he remembers, is that, yeah, we're warriors and fight the snake, because guess what? We fight for those we love.
Combat the worm wherever. Hans basically also makes a point where it's like, don't be stupid about it.
Basically, Hans is of the mind that as long gay werewolf sex is okay if it allows you to help your children.
That's
Hans'
point of view. Yeah. The next one is respect the territory of another. Hard one to obey, because it's our nature to destroy those who threaten Gaia, even though it means we must overstep the bounds of our authority. We cannot be blamed for this because, well, other tribes are idiots and we are at war.
This is basically the Aaron going, yeah, no, I was right to beat the shit out of that one guy and take over. This is apologia for being
But they basically go like, that being said, at least make the attempt to be respectful.
And also give them a chance to straighten up. Basically, point out what they're doing is wrong if they're fucking up. And if they clean up, good, you did your job. If you don't,
the lupus, though, has like the harshest one, though. The lupus, if I had been the Forseti making the law, I would have added that if you can't hold the territory, it isn't yours. How many Cairns have fallen because they were held by weaklings too busy playing gut politics to learn to defend Gaia effectively? How many could have been saved if we hadn't had to respect their territory? As long as other Garu remain weak, this law is in fact flawed.
Yep. And if you're wondering what Forseti are, those are Philodox. Basically, there is a lexicon for all of them. For example, their take on the worm, they often call it Midgard Jormungandr or Midgard Sormir. Their term for Theurge is Goti, which is a term for priest. Their version of a Gallard is actually called a Skald. Capital S, lowercase s just involves poetry. They have a bunch of stuff like that. Their moots, the Ting. It's a lot of cool little nods to Norse and Germanic ways of speaking.
Let's see. Submission to those of higher station, straightforward.
Well, also accept an honorable surrender, because honor is very important.
Except Sophie warns, some Hamids think this law entitles them to certain liberties among the dogs and women beneath them. But
That is
no
not
respectful
so.
family
Don't
or
abuse your
position.
position. Basically, is that one?
Which ties
I-
into the
I-
way they treat their kinfolk, because they have a very patriarchal and domineering view to a degree, like many werewolves do, but they hate when you abuse them because they cannot fight back.
Right.
They can't fight back in the traditional ways, so you will be
It
punished by
seems-
the tribe if you
The other
do
bit
so.
that they talk about is that, while it seems harsh, the reason for our rigorous adherence to this law stems from the fact that we are, in fact, fighting a war and must conduct ourselves accordingly. Command structure breakdowns cannot be tolerated. We can't have people going off and doing their own things, and we cannot undermine the authority of our elders if we need to get anything done. You're not free as you please to do among us. That sticks in the craw of many. But it's the way it is, and it has to be that way.
But I did like particularly those from America, which
Makes
I could see
sense.
that.
Yeah, I mean, the Get have gone into civil war and fracturing multiple times. Basically, after World War II, they have very much clamped down on that wild card going off saying YOLO bullshit.
Yeah, ye shall not eat the flesh of humans. This one is like, but
Since
why?
neither Hamids nor Lupus have any desire.
Yeah, I like
the
how this is a
impetus
litany they're just kind of confused of. They don't even know why it's there.
They're like, why? I mean, this is like the most obvious shit. Why is this even in here?
They don't even have to think about it. Like, what? Huh?
Respect
I
to
just
all
love
those
that.
beneath ye. They are of Gaia. So basically, they go like, we do not defend Gaia for our own sake, but for theirs. Battling the worm, we serve them. We are Gaia's greatest defenders. We must also demonstrate more restraint, more wisdom than the other Garu are capable of. This is what it means to be the greatest warriors.
Basically, it isn't just throwing down and punching people really good. It's knowing when to punch and how hard to punch.
Also, they make a mention that Hide of Iron talks about that the third law of the litany and this one go hand in hand. Do not think you are entitled to ignore a lesser's territory because he is, in fact, your lesser.
So he's a
Yeah.
libertarian.
Well,
Did not
here's the
violate the
thing.
NAP.
He doesn't like when weaklings control, but he tries to at least respect it simply because it ties into this one. Because they're weaker, so his point of view is he wants to take over to protect them, not to, be a
Right,
power hungry
but it's
asshole.
like, if they're lesser than me, I don't need to directly take them over. That's just, why would I do that?
Also, the veil must not be lifted. Which
Hans basically adds, this is very difficult with families, but otherwise it's very careful, like, just be careful. Do not suffer thy people to tend thy sickness. The Get are basically on the point of like, yeah, if you cannot forgive your treaties that drive any longer, you're gonna get released. You might end up as a bone gnawer, but that's just how it is.
Yep. Basically, die in glorious battle or eke it out with the bonars.
Basically, this is a last resort sort of thing.
But
Like,
Sophie points in, and because again, Homids are a little more wise in some ways than Lupus, but also stupid in their own. She goes, no. That's not necessarily to say that you have no purpose. There are other ways you can help the tribe. Many cases they serve as powerful theurges, lore masters, skalds, legend tellers. They also can teach young pups the ways. Basically, the grizzled drill sergeants that teach them the basics of fighting.
leader may be challenged during peacetime. Very strict about this rule. Hide of Iron makes a point too about this one, which I really think is a good point. It's also a reminder of your duty to challenge a weak, foolish, or otherwise unfit leader.
Because here's the thing. A weak leader can send the entire pack hurtling into death. And this is actually one of the reasons they don't like the Silver Fangs, because that has happened too often. Like, every time they've basically been tricked into following them, on more than one occasion, their tribe has been fucked over.
Right. Because of this.
I do like there is a bit of a fortunate thing in the Get migrations. Sophie pitching it's like, it feels like there have to be Germanic folk there. It's like, no. Wolves. Hello, people.
Yep.
We need wolves to reproduce,
If
So,
you're wondering specifically,
so don't be a prude and fuck that wolf.
yeah.
There aren't
she
enough wolves in these places, and we sure as hell aren't going to take turns fucking the local zoo animals.
Correct. And then on top of
They're
that, she
basically
points
like,
out,
yeah.
They also later point out that the Red Talons have the same problem as the Glasswalkers, only reversed.
Yes, the other bit is humans. Obviously, we need human kin.
And the
They
reason
tend to be
why is
Germanic or Scandinavian, but this is by no
Well,
means necessary. Any Geth worth their salt will fuck an Aborigine as soon as a German if he's a strong warrior and suitable kin.
let me play that didgeridoo.
I love
basically
this.
the point of view is that you are spirit, you are man, you are wolf. You are all three. To deny any aspect of that is a failure, because that is not what Fenrir was. Fenrir was not a great wolf. He was more than that. He was not a great warrior and man. He was more than that. He is a powerful incarnate spirit now, but he was also more than that. He once walked this earth as flesh. Disrespect any one of those thirds and you're an idiot.
The other bit that I think is a good point is that she even takes this opportunity in that sidebar to bitch slap the Wendigo even more.
I love the Wendigo.
The Wendigo were a bunch of pussies, and we beat the snot out of them. This told us their stewardship of the region was insufficient, and that we had to take over. If the natives are doing their job, we aren't going to fuck with them. That runs counter to the best interests of Gaia.
It's of course given that we would do the job better, but that's
Sure.
besides the point. As long as they're not incompetent, don't interfere.
Reminder, they let the Uktena manage their own shit just fine.
Right.
Like, they don't like them because they have a habit of talking in doublespeak, but they do the job. They bind Banes. They get rid of them.
Yep. They have a lot of talk about Europe. There's not much that's a huge bit. They kind of talk about Africa. They kind of say it's not really for us.
It's a combination
Asia.
of just there's not really wolves there, or at least not many. But on top of that, the Silent Striders basically kick them out when they can. And the Farah that are there are very much remember the War of Rage, and they don't want a repeat of that. So the Farah of Africa have a very strong habit of kicking your ass out of the continent.
There's Australia. They sort of mentioned the United States is like, yeah, no, the Wendigo were too weak. That's why they lost.
Why do you have to keep bringing up the Wendigo, guys?
Like, we're doing it to protect them from the worm, like these Karens from the worms or whatever. No, it was because this was needed a protection from humanity, and the Wendigo just couldn't fucking do that.
But I like this here,
Basically,
though.
they pick on the Wendigo because the Wendigo were the original chief leaders and stewards of the Pure Tribes. And because they were basically the Silver Fangs of the Americas. And they fucked up. Like, they very quickly fucked up.
Also, of course, Minnesota.
Yep. Because it is the greatest wolf concentration in the U.S.
Basically, this is the heartland of the Gets territory.
And hold on, vampires avoid it like the plague. And there are no worm elements in Minnesota, and to a lesser extent, Wisconsin.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
That's so silly.
Well,
Texas as well.
I'm imagining though. There's a Karen in Green Bay.
There could be. Also, I love
diehard fucking Packers fans.
No, I love the mental image of Texas because imagine Wild West setting where you have a radical Hamid Texas that was like an early supporter of Marx who set shop as the local cowboy trying to stop the corrupt oil barons from basically building Bane pits.
And they speak the Texas German dialect.
Yeah, that'd be fun as shit, wouldn't it?
They bring up the West, Canada. Canada's relatively people-free and wolf-filled.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, like most of the Canadian population is by the border.
Let's see. There are some Get Karens in around Quebec and Ontario, and to a lesser extent, Alberta and British Columbia. I guess.
Essentially, Canada is more of a vacationing spot, and this is mainly where the territory of the Red Talons are at this point.
And then we get the image that sums up South America.
Also, Zen Gunman,
I love
thou
it.
shalt not eat the flesh of man, sweats in Red Talon.
Yeah.
Just look at that were-jaguar freaking the fuck out.
The were-jaguar with an obsidian sphere, and then this guru with a minigun.
I love it.
I think that's Gogol Fangs first.
Also, Zen Gunman points out Milwaukee by night. Essentially, it makes them the toughest bastards the Camarilla have because of all the guru around them.
Holy
Yeah.
we gotta review that then.
Milwaukee by Night is a fun book. It's early White Wolf, and it's early White Wolf in some of the best ways.
But yeah, we actually covered a decent chunk of South America because we did cover Rage Across the Amazon. At least partially.
But let's not see what
Other
they do
tribes.
other tribes.
They basically go like, okay.
Sophie, Black Furies, damn those stupid bitches. Every time I go to a mute, they launch into endless tirades about how evil and fascist the Fenrir are, and how horrible they are to women, and
Which
how I
that
should
one at
leave
least
the tribe
has
and
some
join up with
teeth.
them. Don't they have better things to do than harass us? If they put as much energy to fighting the wars they did worrying about weaklings, we'd all be a lot better off.
I do like the pointing out that because the sexist one, that's at least one that actually still has a lot of sticking points among the Get.
That one is the Get are basically like, look, the Black Furies are a mix. Some of them are in fact awful. Some of them are not.
Some of them are pretty cool because the Black Furies can be pretty fucking hardcore as warriors.
Yeah,
there is some mutual respect among them because of that.
The Bone Gnars, Hans, what a stupid bunch of filthy mongrels. They don't even care about fighting the worm or crushing vampires. And in theory, the Bone Gnars are in position to be the great asset. They live among the refuse. If they were all diligent, they'd be amazing. They're not. Most are basically like, this is unfortunate. Don't entirely dismiss them. If they're good, they're really good.
Basically, their tribe as a whole kind of sucks, but
I mean, which is true. The Bone Gnars are literally whoever's left over. And to a degree, the Bone Gnar book even makes
I love the Children of Gaia. Children of Gaia, my ass. Children of the drug generation's more like it. A bunch of fucking hippies, always whining about peace and acceptance, and never putting any backbone into anything. Hell, look at what happened in Russia. They and the Bone Gnars are embarrassments.
Well, the Bone Gnars, back to them in a second. The main thing the Bone Gnars have, and they are totally fine with accepting this, is that they are the disposable shock troops of the Garu Nation. They can throw more bodies into the fight than any other tribe, flat out.
Yep.
And they know it.
And that's why the wisest of them said, yeah, like a lot of them are shit, but keep in mind they do their jobs, if not well. But I love just them hardcore shitting on the Children of Gaia. Reminder that the worst incarnation of the Children of Gaia get their book in this generation.
No, that was first edition.
I thought Revised was the one which had the weird fanfiction.
No, Revised. You're right. Revised is the one with the gay werewolves and all that shit. Look, Children of Gaia are one of my least favorite tribes. It's mostly because they're entirely treated schizophrenically by the writing staff.
Which is pointed out by Thunder's Teeth. Though easy to dismiss, the Children of Gaia are a divided tribe. I know of many who are utter pacifists living in denial of the dangers we face. I do not pretend to understand how they can maintain such an ignorant attitude, but we can never underestimate the power of a mind bent on idiocy.
I do need to point out, Scorpio was saying that as a Canadian, they can tell us that most of our Get would be Newfies. Because that's what the ancestral order populations are.
They would be. However, I would also state that it's not purely Germanic because, again, they kept a lot of that old Germanic adoptionist element to them. So you could probably run into them among the Inuit and among any other people, too. As long as they can prove their strength, be it in will, in wits, and just being able to bench press a fucking person.
By the way, Thunder's Teeth on the Fianna. I love this. I love this so much.
Yeah, this is great.
The Fianna. I think I have likely never encountered such a bunch of frivolous asses in my entire life. The way they treat their metis is abominable and stupid, and the way they treat their women makes us look good.
That's true.
Yeah, they're staunch
the Fianna are hardcore Irish, which means
beat the women and get in the kitchen.
Beat the women, get in the kitchen, and on top of that, they make how My Left Foot, how the autobiography of My Left Foot was written, look kind. Suffer not the disabled to live among the Fianna. That's their fucking thought.
Yeah, I would not rely on one to save my life, and I recommend you never treat them seriously. They're staunch warriors when they put their mind to it. The other bit about them is that they lack discipline, is one of the comments about that Hans points out. The Fianna are closer to us than most other tribes. The problem is that they are not disciplined, and they're a bunch of shape-changing hedonists who aren't worth much. Good lord, that's
Basically,
even
But enough
fiercer.
about the Irish.
Enough about the Irish.
apparently Jimmy
As we
hates the
all know,
Fianna. I think they're okay.
as we all know, the Irish and their magical powers of shapeshifting.
Ah, the
But
Glasswalker. They stink of the worst excesses of humans. How can they not be tainted? They always live in houses and drive cars, stinking up the planet and wrecking the wild places. Why does no one see that they're corrupt?
and
At one
Thunderteeth points out
time,
that they
they're
were
noble.
a
Now
noble experiment.
they're trapped with the Weaver, and it's a matter of time before they fall. Is basically one of the main takes on this by
Which would have
by
been a
the
more
Lucas
interesting
part.
take than what we got in 5th edition.
And then
Uh,
Red Talons.
they're
like for
great
Thunderteeth,
fighters. They want to, but they want to kill so many things we want to protect, and like probably why they're going extinct because they're retards.
Yep.
they're a
Thunder's
washed-in,
Teeth-
unfocused rage.
Yeah. They're a doomed sec waiting to die. I actually think that he's got the most optimistic look at them.
Yeah, these guys kind of like the Red Talons to a degree, but that's because they're great warriors. The problem is that they are also
They're like, yeah, in
unhinged
a fight, they're great.
maniacs.
They're also completely useless outside of a fight. Just stay out of their way.
And then we
Shadow
have the
Lords.
Shadow Lords.
The Shadow Lords, they make a point about this. The Shadow Lords understand the concept of acceptable losses. The problem is the Shadow Lords do not include themselves in the concept of acceptable losses.
And on top of that, they have a bad habit of thinking themselves tacticians, more important than mere foot soldiers. Listen to their words carefully, and remember they do not lead and they do not fight directly. They are not cowards,
They're
and they are
not
not
cowards,
corrupt, as often as you might guess.
but you can't trust them.
If you can
So the
convince
Alpha
them to
Legion.
view you as an essential ally, they are enormously valuable and helpful. Otherwise, you will find yourselves sacrificed on the altar of victory, regardless of your value.
And then we have Silent Striders. The most bizarre Garou tribe to exist.
All they do is track down news and current events and spread it around. And then, sure, but Thunder's Teeth has another point about them. They have no land, no purpose, and it's unfortunate because they're about the only ones left in Africa right now. However, they're starting to make peace with their shifters there, and this is
Critical.
the other bit. They seem to be getting onto the warpath now and getting their allies to help them out in the fight.
Yeah, that.
And they basically make a point where it's like he makes a point where it's like they now fight with a purpose, and you can bet if they show up asking for help, we'll be the first to give it.
And
You know what I realized?
this is actually because here's another thing that we kind of skipped. The book also highlights that they did manage to find small tribes of bear shifters in the northern reaches of Russia that they avoided to killing. And much like the Silent Striders, they're trying to make inroads to them. They're trying to. And that's why they probably respect them more.
It feels like, based on this interpretation, the Striders could create the African beast courts.
I mean, possibly. We never got that, though.
Which would have
so
been
it
a cool
really
idea.
Matter.
That could have been a cool 5th edition concept, actually.
Yeah, but that would require actual effort. So,
It would require them
Fang.
not wearing Forsaken skin saying, "Do you love me?"
Silver Fangs. Basically, I wish they'd fucking do something. They're useless.
But they are the leaders, so we just have to support them.
I'm tired of waiting for the leaders of the
Uktena.
nation to take action.
Uktena, I like this. I like this. This is actually fun. They're unclean and they disturb me. This is the word must be torn apart in glorious battle, not bound to the earth with magic. Do not trust these Garou. They are corrupt and will destroy anything they touch. Hide of Iron has a point. However, Thunder's Teeth has a better point, which is that this is incredibly useful things. They are definitely something that you cannot trust them implicitly. Never do so. But they're very important and they're good allies.
And on top of that, you cannot doubt their purity. They tangle with some of the most corruptive and tempting forces in, the spirit realm, and they come out on top more often than they fall. They're able to take a look at the absolute pit of depravity, stare at it, and actually fucking shove that shit down.
Right.
And then we have the Wendigo, which
the Thunder's Teeth. Oh man,
it is hard for me to find any compassion in my heart for the Wendigo. They are a worthless tribe of whining savages. But the past is irrelevant. The worm threatens us all here now, and any guy who will not recognize the fact is worse than useless. I understand that they're hominids that have been oppressed. I understand there must be truth in such claims. But all I say is this: let it go. The past is behind us. The future is now. You cannot regain what you have lost, so let us focus on the present instead of dwelling on the past.
Ignore them. They're too bitter to be useful, too few to seriously threaten us, and let them wallow in their resentment while we do the work that needs to be done. Hans, though, has a point, though.
No, he opens up with saying, I find it hard to disagree entirely. Which means he actually still agrees with them somewhat.
Yeah. His point, though, is that the Croton chose the path of honor and respect in keeping with their totem. They died the last one. They succeeded at their task, and they're not around anymore to help us. The Uktena chose a path of wisdom, sort of reaching around for anything that could help them regain their strength. Wendigo chose the path of war and glory. They're still walking it. They may not be strong enough to accomplish that much, but I can't fault their loyalty to their warrior nature and their totem. Cannibal bastard that great Wendigo might be. Oof.
So he respects them for trying, at least.
Yeah,
there was an
attempt. For effort.
The breeds. Who?
Hyena shifters. Who? No one likes them. And the wolves. The spider shifters. I fucking hate them. The Bastet.
Complex, moody, fearsome, secret, and generally useless when you need them, just like any cat.
A Korvax. Talk. They're dedicated. We've got a lot of friendship with them.
And this is actually a nod because, remember, they tend to communicate well with raven spirits, Hrafir, as they call them. So they get along with the Korax pretty okay.
Bear shifters. Never seen a living one, but we need them.
Also, yes, they have been trying to reach out to Goral communities. They have found them occasionally, but the Goral very much remember what the fuck happened and try to stay away from them.
Right. The Mokale, which is ignore them. Go stay away.
Basically, this is one of the few ones, because reminder that the Get actually lost to these guys during the War of Rage. They had to turn to dishonorable methods by targeting their children to win.
Right. The Naga.
That's why they don't talk about them much. The Mokole can kick their ass.
The Naga, don't. They're fucking insane. They were fierce.
Why
really
exactly did Gaia need dancing snakes anyway?
Good question. I don't know if I want to know.
There are many reasons, but we're not going to talk about them right now.
But yes, the Nuisha. They don't take anything seriously. They play cute little jokes on those they deem lacking in wisdom, like foxes. I don't think we really lost much with them, and tricksters who are like our Ragabash but less useful is something I think we can do without. Oof.
You can also apply that to the Kitsune. Suffer, Kitsune lovers. I hate them.
But we are Gaia's favorite children, because we were the last. The runt of the litter.
Insert weird anti-democracy rant. I mean, it's from the point of view of the character, but it's also really fucking crazy, and it's also done with English.
Ratkin. I've had several Bonars tell me that they're around. I can tell the best way is that imagine the filthy demeanor of the Bonars and combine it with backstabbing the Shadow Lords and wrap it up in a scrawny, diseased little package with no regard for anything or anyone. And you have a Ratkin. They're vile beasts with despicable habits, and I recommend avoiding them if at all possible. You'll be tempted to slaughter all of them otherwise.
Well, they forgot the best part. The part where they actually have elements of the kill all humans aspect of that camp.
Right.
Okay. Well, this is a lupus talking, so.
And they're not familiar with most of these.
Actually, that's interesting. We have 3 lupus characters as part of this. We only have one human. Because Sophie's apparently lupus.
I thought Hans was... no,
Hans
I thought
is
Sophie...
not lupus. Sophie
was human.
Well, it's talked about here in the Rokea bit.
Oh yeah,
Apparently she's lupus. I think that might just be an editing error.
could be an editing error. It
Stargazers.
also,
They make a point.
I think the other reason they did this was to get rid of because again they're trying to blame the swords of Heimdall on them being a Hamid invention. Maybe that's the other reason.
The Stargazers. Well, the Stargazers are the tribe that decided to fuck off. Well, they're going to the Beast Courts. They basically go to look at the Beast Courts and they go like, they're not our allies, they're not our enemies. We just leave it at that.
We leave
We're
their
in different-
territory alone, and they leave ours alone.
And then the others.
Hide of
The,
Iron
well,
says, "Fuck vampires. They're awful.
the
Don't deal
Draugr.
with them.
I use the term Draugr for them.
Yep. Don't give them any quarter. Kill them all. Mages. Most of them should be killed, but some of them are nice people. Wraiths. Don't fuck with them.
Yeah. If you encounter one, it means the poor bastard can't rest for some reason. Fix that. Drop whatever you're doing and make things right so that the honored dead can rest. The Get don't care much about things outside of the tribe, but this is an exception to that rule. Now, that said, some ghosts come from people who really deserve to die and who don't deserve peace, but that is not for us to decide, so just make sure the dead stay dead and go where they're supposed to go. It keeps them out from underfoot.
The next one is actually pretty great. The Fae. They're like, I kill them if they're annoying. Otherwise,
I know
ignore them.
shit all about the Alfar. They associate more with the Fianna, and they've been the cause of much mischief.
And then hunters. There's a new force on the scene. Humans with limited supernatural abilities take upon themselves to hunt and kill non-humans.
Imbued.
Fortunately, this includes Garou. More of a pathetic lot, but they have the resources of humanity at their disposal. They can be quite dangerous.
Just be careful. An idiot with a silver bullet can claim the life of the finest warrior of Gaia if he's lucky and the warrior doesn't see him coming. Better to presume the rumor is true and be ready for false adversaries than to presume it's false and be caught napping. Also, here is a Get showing off all of his scars, because that's something they do quite a bit.
Yep. This is just character creation stuff. It's not like what I'd call super.
It's not
necessary.
as interesting, but it's still something to cover.
More backgrounds, like ancestors.
It's backgrounds and some more guardian spirits.
Yep, fetishes,
merits and
kinfolk.
flaws. By the way, merits and flaws. Alcohol tolerance, 1 point merit.
Ooh.
The Good Death. Level 5. No true Get of Fenris fears death, only dying poorly. This gift is Great Fenris' final blessing to his children. The Fenrir who activates this gift intends to die with his or her foe's heart blood on her claws. The werewolf calls upon Great Fenris to aid them and set them against their foe. The Fenrir continues to fight long after they should be dead and does not die until their targeted enemy or enemies die with them.
Jesus Christ, yeah.
So here's one of the funny things, and this has been mentioned before, but the decision to make these guys turn into the antagonist is probably the dumbest fucking decision Werewolf 5e did. Because they are powerful. They are really fucking powerful.
Their level 6 one is amazing, where it's summon Fenris. Just summon Fenris.
Oh. Which, if you're wondering, have fun. Have fun. This is one of the creatures that could basically cause Gehenna.
Yep.
I do like here on page 80 that they do actually include the Nordic runes.
Yes, they have a whole rune.
This is newer. This is newer for Thark, I think.
Yeah. Again, totems, fetishes.
Another thing about the Get is that their stance on technology and just anything is, it destroys the Earth. It weakens Gaia, anything man-made, like anything made from the nature and converted. But you don't just forsake. You don't go full ooga booga back to monkey.
Why throw away a tool that helps you?
I mean, look at that.
It's not that the tools are bad. It's that there's too much of it. It's too much of it, and it makes people too. It makes people too dependent on them.
So you're saying is if we could shoot mind bullets out of our eyes.
Yes.
That
So
would-
Also, the coward's brand. This is a punishment, right? Basically, you take 2 levels of aggravated damage and lose 5 glory and 5 honor renown, and it cannot be removed
Ooh.
by healing gifts.
Ooh, that's
There's a lot of fun rights in this. Also, some totems which include the Snow Queen, the Fire Drake. Fire Drake
The
is an
sea dra-
aspect of dragon. He is potent, if not over my. By the way, another thing they do is they talk about the different spirits and basically how they're like, yeah, this tribe mauls at us because we also communicate with that totem. Basically, it's like, haha, Shadow Lords, we talk to your Raven buddy all the fucking time. Stuff. It's really funny. The spear skin is one of their fetishes that you can get. What this one does is a werewolf must bind a spirit of war, iron, or oak into the skin of a boar to create such a fetish.
also damn. That man did not skip leg day,
No,
no,
they
he
don't.
did not.
or at least thigh day.
The Watcher's Shield. I mean, this is a lot of neat mechanical stuff, and this is something that 5th edition has tried to do, but failed, in my opinion, quite a bit.
The Iron Hammer,
Oh,
which is
and hold on. Here's something that may lean towards Wotan being.
Oh, that's not Iron Hammer. That's
vampiric.
Jarl Hammer.
well, there's two. There's the Iron Hammer, then the Jarl Hammer.
Oh yeah, I see Iron Hammer.
On page, what is it? Page 86. Wotan's Curse. You are vulnerable to the powers of the Walking Dead, the servants of One Eye. When a vampire wraith or an undead entity attempts to affect you with the supernatural powers, difficulty is reduced by 1.
So on the one hand, I still think it makes more sense that he's a Nefandus, but this is, I think, going with him being a vampire.
Yeah,
What if there
I
was?
guess.
Hold on. What if there was more than one?
That's also a good point. There could be.
That, I think, would make a lot of sense. Also, on top of that, keep in mind, mages do dabble quite a bit in necromancy.
Also, damn, look at that. Is that Gogol Fangs first?
Oh, I love this style of Conan the Old King over his file of trophies, which includes a fucking minigun.
Minigun, Greek helmet, axes,
A rune-encrusted
ship.
claymore sword. Some type of wolf skull, probably from a black spiral dancer. Loads of human skulls and Formori in the background. I think that's a cannon. I think that's a full-on fucking cannon in the background.
Yep, and the rest of it's just your standard starter characters, a few like notable people, nothing really that we haven't seen before. But
I love the art though, like the troubled trickster. Look at this fucking goober.
Oh, not Nito. Odin was Samuel Haight before Samuel Haight.
Possibly. Oh no, that's a cool idea. Okay, yeah, that's a really fun idea. What if Odin was actually a mage or really power? What if Odin was like a vampire that was a mage in life and tried to made his own bloodline? You could do that.
Oh,
The Aesir are actually a vampiric bloodline that the Get fucking purged.
then Spirit Junkie. I'm carving the runes with my own finger.
like none of these are like really good characters.
They're not good characters, but they are pretty fun art pieces.
The art for them is decent. Like
No, the big bad.
Oh no, there's the tribal revisionist.
Tribal Revisionist is actually a
Is it
really
or
reunionist.
Reunionist. Ah, yeah. I couldn't
Which
tell
is-
because the U looked like
Yeah.
a V.
Their whole thing is like we need to bring the tribe back together. Like we need to bring the tribes together again.
And the big bad. It's just
It's a menace
Devout-
who does roids.
just so many roids. You call that muscle? This is what I call muscle. Breaks bone because the muscle's too powerful.
Breaks on bones. Ah!
And then we get our characters, the Sky Throat.
Oh yeah, because remember if you're wondering, the Get do value Scalds and partying pretty hard too, just not as much as the Fianna do. So on more than
Right.
one occasion, you can have Galliard bard-offs between the two tribes.
Yeah, but in any
Stefan,
case,
wait
the
up,
rest of these,
Stefan Blood Moon Child.
most of these are just
I just like
not
the goofy
really.
art.
Yeah,
The goofy
just
art, some of the art is really good. Some of the art is not.
like this weird
Oh,
look at this cracked out Viking motherfucker.
I
Ah!
know.
I didn't realize Thunder's Teeth. No, I thought it was a woman. No, it's a man. The informal leader of the Finnish Get of Fenris.
Yeah, Thunder's Teeth is a lupus.
Yeah, most of them were. Karen Jarl's daughter.
Oh, that's a blatant name.
Recently spread among the Get of Fenris of America and Europe light for good reason. Most remarkable Jarl, which if you're wondering what a Jarl is, that's the leader of their little circles.
I mean, come on, everyone here has probably played Skyrim. They know what a Jarl is.
True.
Also has a big ass hammer.
Yes, she does.
Oh, she knows English, German, Norwegian, and French.
Yes.
Again, that's one of the things that about the Get, and this is actually something because they do talk about the different roles based on the moon. For example, they may not like the Ragabash, but again, they honor them because of their usefulness in war, because their trickery can lead to your enemy dying and you staying alive.
Which is generally considered a good thing.
Yep. They also talk about how their versions of the Philodox tend to be rather harsh even by standard Philodox because they're judges among their people. They are not just law speakers, but they're the judges, and they're the ones that essentially preside over the things. And they also say, don't fuck with Get Arun because, well, the Get are some of the strongest warriors among the tribes, and these guys are born under the auspice of the full moon.
Yeah, don't fuck with them. You're going to lose.
They actually, this is where Thunder's Teeth is because he's an Arun. He actually states, we are also not just dumb brutes, and that is something that many of our rivals do not understand. We do not just charge into the fray willingly. We are more than capable of understanding concepts such as tactics and deception.
Which, to bring it
We
back to actual,
we simply do not like using those methods unless they prove useful or necessary.
which to bring it back to what we had brought up in the beginning with the Space Wolves actually is fitting, because people on the outside look at them as just simply snarling, crazed berserkers, but actually they have their own culture and
One of
their
the
own
things
ways
that the
of viewing
Get
the
are
world.
very much a fan of is controlling your rage and aiming it correctly.
Which again makes it weird they would succumb to was it Hoglosk or
Basically, it was like a tribe-wide, I think it was Hirano.
what it was tribe wide. Basically, we're gonna go suicidal into killing everybody, and
It's stupid.
that doesn't make
It's
much.
stupid.
Yeah,
It doesn't work well, and it doesn't make sense because, as stressed before, this is the tribe least likely to follow that.
They would
Tribe
probably
most
be the
likely to
last
follow
tribe.
that is probably like the tribe most likely to follow that is the Red Talons.
Red
Like
Talons,
just flat out.
and then Wendigo afterwards, possibly. But even the Wendigo aren't that stupid.
Well, no, the Wendigo are that stupid. There's just not enough of them for it to matter.
Yeah. If you had to do a 5th edition, it should have been the Red Talons. The reason they didn't, though, is because they're the all-wolf one. And there's a
Right.
surprisingly vocal minority of werewolf players that would have
Like that's the thing.
but
A
then
good
what?
Red
Hold
Talon
on.
player is great. They're amazing. They're fantastic. The problem is there's not many of them.
But here's the other
A
problem,
lot
though,
of them tend to be misanthropic idiot furries, in my experience.
is that
Yes.
the Red in fifth they pissed off the Red Talons as well, the Red Talon players, because they now
Because
decided
they
to
added
allow
hominids
Homet.
to them. Because
Which, actually, if you think about it, okay, hear me out. If I had to do 5th edition,
oh god,
have it be because of the events of the apocalypse, their numbers were so bad that the hardcore ones were forced to do it. It was literally, it's either that or we die.
They choose to die. That's the problem.
Oh, yeah, they would.
That would be the problem. They would choose death. It's similar to how when they highlighted the Wendigo, they walk the warrior's path even if it leads to their doom, which is respectable in its own way, but stupid in how they perform it. It should have been the Red Talons if you wanted, but they wouldn't ever do that. So next best one would have been the Wendigo, but they're native, so you can't do that. Oh wait, these guys were the fascist ones, weren't they? No, they fucking weren't. They were the sexist ones alongside the Black Fury. They tied in there.
You know, I would have done the Children of Gaia. Just
The
There
Children
is
of Gaia
a
falling to
faction
the
of them
worm
that
is
basically
really
say
funny.
that. No, the Children of Gaia falling makes a lot of sense because there is a faction of them that basically said, "Hey man, what if we just like let the worm win, dude?" That is a camp.
I mean,
that is a camp
and
they
that is
have.
unfortunately, I believe those are the people that wrote the book because 5th edition again says, yeah, the worm just won. We're living off Gaia's corpse.
That's because of the
I hate
millenarian
fifth.
death cult
I
element
hate
of
fifth
that.
so much.
Exactly. That would have been perfect for the Children of Gaia.
They should have been the one to fall.
Just go and play Werewolf 20th Anniversary Edition. You won't regret it. It's a very good game.
Play either
There's a
20th
lot
or
of source
revised.
books for it.
Either works.
I'd still say that 20th is better than revised because it's mechanically much sounder.
It's more
Just be
sound
care-
and it's just all there. The material's all there to work with.
Yes, the core book has basically everything you need.
Just be careful when somebody starts bring the tail to the game.
Also, do not allow them to play a Kitsune until you can trust them with it.
And even then, maybe not.
I'll be honest, I'll never allow a Kitsune. And a lot of that is, okay, so hear me out. It's because, unlike the Red Talons, which their tribe is fine, the players are awful. I've only ever run into bad cases of Kitsune players, and on top of that, their book sucks. It's awful.
Their section of the book sucks.
Yeah, the Henkei Yokai in general, the Beast Court is great. But no, this was the tribe book for the Get of Fenris, and it's a really good book. I really like it. It's probably my favorite of the tribe books. Because it's kind of simple and explains a lot in the mindset, and once you read it, you really fucking hate Karim Muammar, who also was responsible for fucking over the Uktena and the Wendigo. He basically was responsible for the purging of a lot of tribal aspects.
Once you've read Revised, you will want to bite him to death with your bare hands, akin to Henry Kissinger if you've ever gone to Cambodia.
Yeah.
I don't know what's insulting more, comparing Karim to him or him to Karim.
I would say that Kissinger has more skeletons in his closet, so I think it's more insulting to compare him to Kissinger.
Yeah.
But yeah, all in all, the Get are not what people think they are. Yes, they have issues, but they have always admitted when they have failed and try to do better. The racist thing, that was a failure that they took. They literally went on a decades-long quest to clean themselves of that dishonor.
They had an entire pack.
They have repaired that quite a bit over the decades. The camp still has value, but it's starting to become obsolete.
The pack that goes out and literally just is like, no, we're just killing all of them. No redemption, no, they just die.
Yeah,
is pretty on point for the Get, and this is one of the reasons why the Get are one of my favorite tribes in Werewolf. They are very straightforward, no nonsense, no bullshit.
Well, they're
you know what you're getting,
but there's a lot of hidden nuance to them.
Yeah, you know what you're getting out of the Get, which is, I think, very important for new players.
They're important for new players. They are fun, and they basically have traits of other tribes that are neat, but tend to be less obnoxious because they do party hard like the Fianna, but they are not wife-beating drunken louts that just are like ultra Irish.
Oh my god, it's like another famine.
They haven't gone full.
Oh, time to make another baby.
Their lupus
punch my wife in the face.
Their lupus are a lot like the Red Talons. They have a lot of the warrior capacity of them, but they lack that. We're only lupus, so it's a great way to cut the knees off of any misanthropist furry. You don't have to worry about that. They are more than capable
Yeah.
of coming up with cunning plans, so you don't have a political dickbag like a Shadow Lord. They kind of, I would say that out of the tribes, they're kind of the closest to like the Ultramarines in terms of their tactical flexibility.
No,
That's
that goes
that
to
is an
Shadow
insult.
Lords.
That is
The
you're right.
I,
If
I
you're
mean,
saying
they have a
tactical
warrior niche.
flexibility,
They lack some of the abilities. Like they're not messengers like the Silent
the
Striders.
entire point of the Get is there's a problem and it needs to be destroyed. You send a Get, they go and they destroy the problem.
Yeah.
Boom, done.
which actually is
And
actually
they're
the
able to
nuts.
do
I
it
wouldn't say they're
focused.
more like space wolves. They're actually more like dark angels.
Yeah, I mean, without
Yeah,
the
yeah, I can see
tendency
that.
towards secrecy, because secrecy is
They
dishonor,
they don't need to
except
keep
for tactical.
secrets. Is
Yeah,
the thing with the Get? They don't need to be secretive. They don't need to hide things.
they are the warrior. They are the warrior class that is balanced because they are not the kill the humans like the Red Talons are, and they're not
They're
drunken
not
dipshits.
screaming incels like the Wendigo basically are at half the time.
They're not only screaming incels, screaming racists, actual racial supremacists like the Wendigo are.
Yeah, mind you, the Wendigo have gotten more progressive. There's in fact one white man who is a Wendigo.
Congrats.
I'm not even joking. He's still nearly killed by the tribe, but like the totem is like vouched for him. It's like no.
Congratulations,
This is the
he's
cool
the
white dude.
he's the Theo Bell of the werewolf world. Remember when the
Oh, no.
Brujah made the first black man?
Oh no.
Oh, Ebony's asking, how do I feel about the camps? I think the camps are a great way to kind of show how the different interpretations of the tribe can be done. And
The
I
camps,
also love the sheer amount of shit talking they did on each of them.
basically the main tribe doesn't like the camps because they think it's a disunity after they've gone to a lot of effort to try to unify this tribe back together
Because the
again.
tribe is splintered on more than one occasion, and in one very in their worst case, they legitimately worked with the worm. Some of them did, and that is a massive stain on their honor.
So they're kind of trying to centralize again, which makes sense. It's just a pity that like the Get are the Get. They're not going to stay centralized for any sort of period of time.
And that's because if the person is weak, you have to take over and do it for them. If you have the chops to do it.
Basically, you can say "fuck you, I'm leaving," and they kind of have to respect that because if they can't stop you, what fucking sort of leader are they?
Also, will we cover all the tribe books? On and off.
Probably
I do want to
not.
cover. I do want to cover more of them though.
Yeah, it would be fun to
I'm
cover
actually
more.
kind of surprised that you do because the Black Furies book was genuinely painful for
Oh
me.
yeah, that's the worst of the books besides the Children of Gaia. But that's the thing; those are horrible tribe books. If you're wondering, we have so far covered the Black Furies revised book, which was horrible.
No, we did not cover revised. We covered first edition Black Furies.
Oh,
revised
the first
is
edition.
way better. Revised Black Furies is actually really good. It's very, very solid.
I might want. I do want to eventually cover at least more of the tribe books. I don't know if we'll cover all of them, but I do want to cover several of them.
Though what I am thinking, since we did bring up Warhammer, to possibly go and actually explore the original Chaos books, Slaves to Darkness and Lost in the Damned.
I thought
That could be a thought.
already. I mean,
no, we did. No, we did the RPG. This is literally the original books that form the concept of the Chaos Gods, how the demons operate.
Oh yeah,
Path of the Damned,
we did cover a couple
Path of
pages
Glory.
from it because
what's that one fluff book, the Liber Demonicum or whatever that was
Liber Chaotica.
Yeah,
that could we could do that as well.
That. Like I said, I don't know if I wouldn't mind covering more of the tribe books. I don't know if we'll cover all of them. I do know I want to eventually cover some of the clan books too.
I mean, some of the clan books you just sort of have to cover because they're just so batshit.
The Malkavian one's really fun because it just there's points where it just dissolves into children's scribbles.
The Malkavian one is either one of the best ones or the one that you find the most fucking pretentious piece of shit you've ever read.
It's very pretentious, but it's like Kino pretentious in my opinion.
It's Hideo Kojima levels of pretentious.
Yeah. You guys, we'll roll up our own Chaos God if they have the mechanic.
Oh yeah.
That'll be fun.
Oh, they do. It's wonderful.
But no, like I said, the Get Revised is probably my favorite of the tribe books. I don't know what other tribe books will cover. I kind of want to do Black Furies Revised just so we can have the Gallant to first edition's Goofus.
I
You know,
mean, it's a lot better.
Well, if we do,
I wouldn't
we'll
still
have
call it amazing because it's still the Black Furies, and the Black Furies have some baggage. But
if we do that, we'll have to do it in March, Women's Month.
a
as for next week in Spook Month, what can we cover for Call of Cthulhu? Definitely Delta Green's another.
We'll have to look up a Call of Cthulhu, and I am saying the chaos stuff.
We can
we'll
save
figure
that
it
for our
out.
big one, yeah.
Yeah, that'll be a big one.
So yeah, see you guys next week. We'll figure it out sometime over then, and we'll announce it then. Also, you can get a copy of the Get of Fenris Revised in the description. I link directly to where you can get it, and feel free to drop by our Discord. We talk about quite a bit of stuff in there.
Yep. Have a good night, everyone.